Democrats in Congress have introduced a proposal called the Green New Deal, a plan to tackle climate change by overhauling our transportation systems, upgrading our power grids, and shifting to clean energy like wind and solar. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, but I am not an energy policy expert, so I have questions.
Well, I'll tell you, Vox, I am right there with you. I have a lot of questions about the Green New Deal, so I am very glad that you are taking the time to break it down for us. So, what are your questions about the Green New Deal?
How would these ideas work in practice? How quickly could we get them done? Are they enough to avoid the impending heat death of the planet?
Well, those are all good questions, though I'm not sure about the hyperbole about the heat death of the planet. But I'm sure you're just kidding there. Anyway, that all sounds like a good start. I'm looking forward to being educated.
So to find the answers, I did what every American does when they want to know more about public policy. I tried to watch the news.
To learn about public policy, you tried to watch the news. Why didn't you just pull up a copy of the Green New Deal and read that? I must be missing something.
The so-called Green New Deal. Why do those three words create such anger from Republicans and even some anxiety among Democrats?
Even House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had concern.
Republicans aim to make the Green New Deal a key 2020 campaign issue.
You say Democrats are in a way helping Donald Trump.
It's my favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza. Oh, I hope we get to hear from the great Cillizard.
Green New Deal is going to be a flashpoint.
Did Democrats give Republicans a huge 2020 gift?
The Republicans see it as a key to victory for them, is it?
God damn it. I have watched hours of segments about the Green New Deal, and none of them actually explained how it might work.
Right. So you're going to break the mold and tell us how it might work, aren't you?
Instead, they focused on the politics. Is it gonna pass? Does Pelosi like it? What did Trump tweet about it? Everything except, is it a good idea?
So, no mainstream news outlet analyzed the Green New Deal proposal for either feasibility or cost. Got it.
Are you concerned the perception of the Democratic Party is going to move too far to the left?
Turns out there's a name for this type of news coverage. It's called tactical framing. And it's making us all too cynical to solve big problems before it's too late.
Aha! So, the way that the media frames a story makes us cynical. Unlike Vox, who never frames stories in political terms. Got it.
This Sunday, the Democratic divide. Some progressives are pushing hard for a Green New Deal, but other Democrats worry they're being impractical.
Is there a risk the Democrats maybe overplay their hand, rile up the Republican base, and you say, look, socialism, and some of these unrealistic ideas?
Tactical framing sounds like when you crop your problem areas out of a Tinder photo. Or a video. But it's actually an approach to news coverage that focuses on strategy over substance. So instead of asking, is this new policy proposal a good idea, tactical framing asks, is it popular? Can it pass? How will it play in the next election?
Is it a good idea? Well, I don't know. You have to tell us what the idea is first.
The discussion is focused on the players and the implications for them and their political careers, not the policy or its capacity to solve a problem.
Kathleen Hall Jamieson coined the phrase tactical framing.
Oh, So she has a completely objective perspective on the concept, then. Got it.
And she argues that this obsession with strategy is making it hard for us to understand big policy ideas.
So why not just read the proposal for yourself? Or why don't you read the policy proposal to us and let us assess it together?
Ask yourself how much of the coverage of the Green New Deal has told you what specifically is in it.
Other Republicans said the plan sounded more like communist economic doctrine.
You probably have no idea what the Green New Deal is. You probably have some sense that it has to do with climate change, but you probably don't know much beyond that.
Unless you take a minute to read it. And unlike the mainstream outlets, that is what we are here to do. Isn't it, Vox?
It is hard to argue with her. Look at some of the headlines from the Green New Deal debate. Is the Green New Deal smart politics for Democrats? Green New Deal divides Democrats on climate change. 7 reasons Democrats won't pass a Green New Deal. We're talking about the fate of the human race here, but the focus is still on the politics.
Oh, so none of those news articles look at the details of the Green New Deal. They just speculate about the politics. Got it. But, how about I take a look for myself? Let's see, the 538.com. Well, they have charts about climate change, and they discuss in some detail about what is in the Green New Deal and whether it equates to a proposal more than it is just a framework. Well, golly, I mean, I'm sure Vox just made a mistake there. Okay, what was that second article? The Washington Post. Okay. Well, I will say that you are sort of right about this one. There is discussion about a few of the particulars regarding the Green New Deal, but it is mostly about politics and strategy. Though, why you would have expected something else from an article titled Green New Deal Divides Democrats' Intent on Addressing Climate Change is a bit beyond me. And what was that last article? The Atlantic. Well, you're just about completely right on this one, Vox. The article is pretty much nothing but strategy. But then again, if you read the title of the article, you should not be at all surprised by the content. So, I guess the accusation really is that none of these publications have ever analyzed what is in the Green New Deal. Oh, but except they all have. So, your theory isn't holding water so far, Vox.
Could the fight over this plan divide the Democratic Party?
Well, Republicans succeeded painting it as an unrealistic boondoggle.
Notice when you're saying that, you're not asking, well, what is the problem they're trying to address? Is this a viable solution?
This framing makes us less informed, but it also makes us more cynical.
Sorry, what is stopping you or anyone else from looking up the particulars of the Green New Deal? And given your expert analysis of The Atlantic, 538.com, and The Washington Post, are we to believe that none of the news networks that you are showcasing have ever gone over the details of the Green New Deal? Ever?
Jameson and her research partner ran an experiment where they gave people 3 different types of news stories about a Philadelphia mayoral race. Don't tune out, I will make this quick.
God, I hope so.
The first group got stories that focused on the issues. What problems were the candidates trying to solve, and how did they propose to fix those problems? The second group got stories that focused on tactics, how the candidates were trying to win over voters. And the third got a mix, stories that started with a tactical frame and then discussed substance. Their findings were Woof. In the second and third groups, the ones who got tactical framing, the news had activated their cynicism. They were more likely than the first group to say that the candidates were promising things they couldn't deliver, or that the situation was hopeless anyway.
Well, in referring to how our various local and national legislatures debate and wrangle over proposed solutions to problems, why wouldn't people be cynical? Congress is one of the least popular government bodies we have ever had due to its perpetual gridlock and partisan gamesmanship. But you're also talking about a study that effectively created a closed system of information. If all you had access to was strategy over substance, I suppose you would get bored. But we don't live in that world. You can look up the Green New Deal for yourself. You can look up the proposals made to achieve the goals therein. So, why are we here again?
They were also less likely to remember basic information about the policy proposals, even if what they saw included real policy analysis.
If they care enough to know, they can Google it. What's the problem?
We find that even with that good information there, the public's less likely to learn it because the tactical frame creates a lens on it that says they're not actually going to do it anyway. This is really all about politics. Now trust your political instincts based on your ideology.
Well, now I'm not going to argue against stepping outside of one's political ideology to try and gain more information or to entertain different perspectives. But again, you are assuming a world where people only have access to, or who are only allowed to consume, political analysis of policy, rather than having access to both the policy and analysis of it.
Jameson and her research partner published a book about their findings called The Spiral of Cynicism, which is surprisingly not a book about my dating life. In it, they argued that this cynicism lingers even after the tactical framing is gone. A few days after the experiment, the participants were asked to react to an excerpt from a debate between the candidates. But the ones who had been exposed to tactical framing still reacted cynically.
And what that said to us was that the stimulus in news was so strong that when you got no more cues to be cynical, to be tactical, nonetheless, you were seeing the race through that lens.
Now, maybe your reaction is, so what?
How did you know?
Of course watching the news makes you cynical. Congress is too gridlocked to get anything done. Hopelessness is the correct response.
No, hopelessness isn't the correct response, but it is an understandable response if you are only going to pay attention to the back and forth of partisan political analysis. But sorry, what does any of this have to do with the details of the Green New Deal?
But tactical framing makes it harder to break that gridlock by causing us to look at policy through a partisan lens.
So people have no will of their own. They examine policy through a partisan lens because of the media, not because of their own opinions or personal experiences. Got it.
Most of the time, we're not partisans. I know that sounds surprising, but most of the time we're not. But I can activate my sense of my partisanship and the partisanship of an audience by focusing on a frame that makes that more important.
Do you mean to tell me that media outlets might be pushing a partisan point of view in their news coverage? Golly, tell me more, Vox.
A huge amount of the coverage of the Green New Deal has focused on how Republicans might gain an advantage with voters by attacking it in 2020.
The Republicans can use this as a weapon.
If you look at the political implications, it is easy to see why Republicans see advantage in this.
And all of that might be true. But it also begs the question, if the only thing voters know about a bill is that Republicans hate it and Democrats love it.
The Democrats love the Green New Deal? But didn't you just show us earlier that
So-called Green New Deal. Why do those three words create such anger from Republicans and even some anxiety among Democrats?
Even House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had concerns.
I must be missing something.
They're more likely to react to that bill along party lines.
In an environment in which news covers things through a political lens, Republicans versus Democrats, left versus right, it makes it harder for people who might be trying to find common ground in the middle.
That tactical frame ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's covered through a partisan lens, so we react through a partisan lens, which makes partisanship the only thing that matters.
How very, very observant and wise of you, Vox. And with this stunning insight, I have to assume that Vox.com puts itself through a rigorous self-assessment on every article you publish to ensure as much as possible that your media outlet is nonpartisan? I mean, that is what I am to assume from your high horse condescension over the rest of the media landscape. Isn't it?
It makes us political analysts, it makes us pundits, but it doesn't make us very good voters.
This exact thing happened on Meet the Press a few weekends ago. Trump had tweeted a bullshit claim that the Green New Deal would somehow ban cars, cows, and the military. How would you ban a cow?
Bullshit claim, you say? So, the FAQ for the Green New Deal website did not mention the elimination of farting cows? The Green New Deal does not aim to increase public transportation and put greater burdens on the auto industry?
This would have been a great chance to explain what the Green New Deal actually does, to let voters decide for themselves if upgrading our power grid or modernizing our transportation systems is a good idea.
Okay, stop. I'm getting sick of this. Those are not ideas. Those are goals. Upgrading our power grid or modernizing our transportation systems are very fine goals. But what are the ideas for trying to achieve those goals? I mean, ending world hunger is a wonderful goal, Vox, but without a good idea, it remains just that, a goal. Why are you not telling us about any good ideas?
A lot of Republicans and moderate Democrats might actually like what's in this thing. But we'll never know because the batshit segment on TV is telling them this is a debate about socialism.
Well, do tell us, Vox. What are the proposed ideas to achieve the goals stated in the Green New Deal? Are those ideas dependent on a socialist economic philosophy, or aren't they?
Look, maybe things are hopeless.
So the subjects of that study you cited may not have been incorrect in their thinking. Got it.
Maybe we're too angry and divided to stop the planet from overheating. We won't actually know that until people understand what our options are, until we're given a chance to judge solutions on their merit rather than their political popularity.
So why aren't you telling us about the merits of the proposals of the Green New Deal? If it is so important to you to educate us on what the proposal says, rather than on its political value, why aren't you telling us what it says?
The point of political journalism should be to snap us out of our cynicism, to remind us of the magnitude of the problems we face, and to teach us what our options might be.
And how are you at all contributing to that ideal right now, Vox?
That's a really important conversation. Our planet depends on it, but it's one that gets shut down every time a newsroom decides to focus on tactics.
And so you are bucking that trend by focusing on the tactics of tactics. Got it.
I'm not talking about this right now, Brenda. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to know more about the substance of the Green New Deal, I put a link to an in-depth explainer in the description.
Wait. What?
If you want to know more about the substance of the Green New Deal, I put a link to an in-depth explainer in the description.
So, in a video where you complain about news outlets talking about the tactics of discussing the Green New Deal without relaying the substance of the Green New Deal, you do not discuss the substance of the Green New Deal, but instead direct us elsewhere for that information. You ask questions which you don't even bother to answer. And so despite all of your examples of how the major news outlets were not discussing the substance, you had no ability to also showcase those instances where they had done so. Because in your version of reality, everyone but yourselves are just mindless sheep, and the news media are all the soulless shepherds. Vox, you are cut from the same cloth as the material you would try to convince us that you stand apart from. Your tactical framing here might not hinge on politics, but its foundation is pure self-righteousness. So, please, either embrace your partisanship and stop lying to yourself and your viewers, or truly begin practicing what you so smugly preach. Because the world does need more objectivity in its news reporting. But right now, just like the Green New Deal, you're nothing but a goal without an idea. As always, thank you for watching.